Welcome to the joys of spring and summer. That machine sound.
Yeah.
One of the things I do appreciate about doing meditation practice in the spring and summer is that you can really do the Vipassana style meditation, just bare awareness, and just bring it all in. And there's something about that practice that's really conducive to a noisy summer day with kids playing, and birds going, and that really brings you into life. I mean, if you think about it, the Buddha Dharma is not about transcending life, but the Buddha Dharma teaches us to go deeper and become more intimate with life. That we find our awakening by going into life, through life, not by transcending and going beyond it. And I think that style of meditation is a good example of that kind of idea. For today's Dharma discussion, what I want to talk about is what today is. And today is Earth Day. And Earth Day was started in 1970 in the midst of the looming environmental crisis at that time, which was toxic waste. I don't know if anybody remembers Love Canal, of my generation growing up. A whole community that was built on top of a toxic waste dump. And family after family dying from rare and bizarre cancers. And it's been abandoned. The whole community's been abandoned since the early 70s. And growing up for me, Iron Eyes Cody was always this beautiful image, the Native American who's sitting on the side of a river watching all the garbage come on shore, and he's crying. And his name was Iron Eyes Cody, which I think is beautiful because he's very emotional and can cry very easily. Also to indicate the level of the sorrow. That even Iron Eyes Cody can weep for the earth. How bad must it be? So today, all around the world, it's not just in the United States, people are celebrating Earth Day. And it's our day to turn our attention towards our great Mother Earth Bodhisattva. A day to acknowledge her great grace. It is also a day that brings our attention to the disconnect from nature that we as individuals and society have from this Bodhisattva. From the Tibetan teacher Sakyong Mipam, he says, "We are ever more rapidly losing our connection with the sacred nature of our world. This tragedy affects us in so many ways, but at its heart, it is a crisis of the spirit. We are harming our planet and fellow beings because we are losing touch with the basic goodness of our own sacred being." This is one of the insights that the Buddha Dharma can bring to the reflection on this day. This from the Thai Buddhist teacher, Buddhasa Bhiksu. The entire cosmos is a cooperative. The sun, the moon, the stars live together as a cooperative. The same is true for humans and animals, trees, and the earth. When we realize that the world is a mutual, interdependent, cooperative enterprise, then we can build a noble environment. If our lives are not based on this truth, then we shall perish. So today is a good day to be reflective and mindful and to realize that not just this day, but every day and every moment is Earth Day. For without taking care of our great Mother Earth Bodhisattva, without taking care of the very womb that we were born from, we will cease to exist. And all our dreams and all our plans and and all our hopes for ourselves and our children and our children's children will be nothing more than shadows passing across sand or a dead earth. And today, we can take some time to reflect, not just on our small ego self, which we talk a lot about in Sangha, but as David Loy says, a modern Buddhist philosopher, about our consumer self. We all have a very strong consumer self. And I want you to take a minute to just think about that. My consumer self. And what are the key beliefs of your consumer self? And how does it manifest in your daily life? And what are some of its delusions? So I want you to just take a minute, and I want you to think about that. My consumer self, my self that consumes, as part of the consumer culture. What are those beliefs that come with that story? How does that manifest in my life? And what are some of its delusions? Okay, so for this consumer self, what are some of the key beliefs of this consumer self of ours?
That you own anything. One time I bought 5 acres of pristine forest and I built a cabin on it and I thought I would own this thing. And I sat there for 3 or 4 years owning this cabin and doing project after project after project. And after friends didn't want to come there anymore, I was alone in this place, and I realized that I didn't own this thing, it owned me. And it was beautiful, and so I gave it up, but went on to enjoy other forests, other places, and I still think peacefully about that place, but I don't want to own it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah.
As you were talking about that consumerism, and I was at the gym the other day, and I ran across a gentleman talking quite extensively about his life, about his wife. And he explained to me how she has a lot of money, she has a really great job, but she purchases all these shoes and all this stuff and all the time, and it just piles up in rooms. He has these rooms in his house where just piled up. It's all new stuff. She won't wear it, a lot of it, and things. And I think consumerism, even in myself, I see when I go to a store, you know, the marketing and all this, they put stuff out where they know you want to get this and that. You only go to the store for one thing, but you end up coming home with, you know, a bunch of stuff. I do that all the time. But I think in my case, I mean, you get a temporary kind of high from it. You know, you buy all this stuff, and then some of it you don't even use. And think, I don't know why people are like that. I get it's our society and how we see our neighbors, we see other people, the things they have, and we always want to be one up on them or something. And I'm trying, in my practices, I try not to be so consumerist. Go to the store for what I need, go straight to the aisle, get it, and leave. And that way I'm not, you know, accumulating all this stuff that I might even use. Like this lady, she's, I guess, borderline hoarder or whatever, but it's just, you know, a waste, really.
you know, if you think about it, I would say on a certain level, we're all hoarders. You know, I mean, Marx, you know, you hear about Karl Marx today. Karl Marx said, useless products make useless people. We're screwed. Okay? But I think one of the key beliefs of this consumer self is I can buy happiness. I can buy something that will help me with this dissatisfaction and disappointment, which is inherent in being human. It's this false refuge. We come here every Sunday, we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. That's the antidote to taking refuge in the consumer self.
My friend and I were just talking about yesterday, because I'm living half time in Georgia in a small town, and there's no Uber. I'm like, what? What? So there's no Lyft, there's no Uber. And so, and just this non-awareness of interdependence on the environment. So like, because we live around a college town too, because, you know, when you come home from the bar and you don't want to drive or whatever, right? You could walk 3 blocks. Or the notion is, well, I have the money, why not take an Uber? Well, but it's really better for yourself to walk, it's better for the environment to walk, it's better all the way around. Just because you have something, so that's a service versus an actual good. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And I think there's this non-awareness of our interdependence, and we think something will always be there, and it's not.
Yeah, the consumer self is concerned only with what it can consume and immediate gratification.
That's a good, yes, immediate gratification.
Yeah, immediate
even for
gratification.
service,
Yes.
My aunt, she is, I love my aunt, and she is so against using plastic because she's from Santa Barbara and she loves the ocean. And my family thinks it's weird because the other day we had a family dinner and we were using plastic forks, and she's like, okay everyone, don't throw away your plastic forks. I'm going to wash it and we're going to reuse it, because she just cares so much about the ocean, and it makes me think today to reflect that I should be more like her, because she actually cares so much to not use plastic, like barely in her life, and so I admire her for that.
So also to the consumer self, how does it manifest in your life? The consumer self. I think the Uber is an example. How are some other ways it manifests in your life? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I have this almost like insatiable thirst for stuff. I get more stuff, and then I need more stuff. And like, even with the food I consume and the drinks, it's like I used to go from like coffee all morning to soda all day to whatever. And I had this realization, like, that's a lot of crap just to keep this body going. Like, do I really need that? It's just, but there's just this insatiable thirst of need, and it's just a never-ending. Nothing will ever be enough for the consumer self.
My consumer self is somewhat, it's like I've been yearning for love and affection, right? So when the industry that I work in, it brings me validation. More people, more fans support what I do. You know, if I have, different style, and I'm always interested in that, and it causes a lot of discontentment.
Oh, I'm getting ready some months ahead to move in with my boyfriend, and so I'm clearing out my house. I'm trying to thin it out of things, and it is so hard. I mean, my identity, from the sentimental things to the nice things, I feel, wow, so much attachment to who I am as my things. And I really know if the house burned down, I would be fine, what matters I've got. And so it's a really interesting process to let go of things, and it definitely makes you think about, when you purchase things, how are they really important? But gosh, advertising really makes us feel like we need things. And I don't like to even read like glamour magazines, because it's like, we need to have this kind of moisturizer or, whatever. It's just like, what, do I? Makes you question, oh, no, I can be okay without these things.
And if you think about our things, our objects become fetters. One of the translations of the word nirvana is to be unbound. And if you're unbound, you're boundless. And our things are fetters. They hold us. Sometimes to good memories, sometimes to bad memories. And just their very presence clutters up not only our physical space, but I would also say our heart-mind. That clutter creates noise and interference.
I think about in our consumer self, we are living in a huge denial of even if we clear out that stuff, where does it go? I mean, I watch my trash can and my recycle can fill up. I take them outside and I put them in the trash can and the recycle can. I put them out in the curb and they go away. Where's it go? How much is going? You know, what is that effect? And I have a tendency when I feel overwhelmed and in deep sadness, like almost to death, when I think of where's that going and what's it doing? You know, what's not being recycled? That even when we put in the recycle can, it doesn't get recycled. I mean, Salt Lake doesn't take the plastic bags anymore because they got no place to put them. They're not recyclable. So I realize, you know, when I look at that, it's sort of, I pay attention to my own denial of stuff.
There's a beautiful quote from Kurt Vonnegut. I love Kurt Vonnegut. The crucified planet Earth, should it find a voice in a sense of irony, might now well say of our abuse of it, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." The irony would be that we know what we are doing. When the last living thing has died on account of us, how poetic it would be if the earth could say, in a voice floating up perhaps from the floor of the Grand Canyon, "It's done. People did not like it here." How heartbreaking is that last line? It's done. People did not like it here. It reminds me of those science fiction movies, those Noah Ark kind of science fiction movies, you know, like Interstellar. Okay, the world is coming to a collapse. We must go and colonize other places. And half the time in those movies, I want them to fail. I don't want them to go to another planet and colonize another planet. Because unless we realize that our ecological crisis is a psycho-spiritual crisis, we're just going to do it again to another place. Nothing is going to change. For things to change, we need to change. So as David Loy and John Stanley have called for, we need another kind of bodhisattva. We need an ecosattva. An ecosattva is a person working for the well-being of all life in the face of environmental harm. So in the Lotus Sutra, I don't know if you've ever read the Lotus Sutra, but it's a highly poetic, mythopoetic sutra. And for those who are lovers of poetry or even science fiction, I highly recommend it. But there's a scene shortly after all these cosmic Buddhas have shown up, and they're there, Shakyamuni's Buddha's there, and they're saying, "Hey, we've come from multiple world systems to help you relieve people of suffering." And Shakyamuni Buddha is there, and he smiles, and as he smiles, the earth cracks open, and myriads of bodhisattvas rise from the earth herself. And Shakyamuni Buddha bows and says thank you, and says, "We have enough to have the work done here." And those bodhisattvas came up from the earth itself. And I think the metaphor of this story is that something outside ourselves, cosmic Buddhas or bodhisattvas, or even a conception of God, is not going to save us from this crisis. Only we ourselves can save us. Only bodhisattvas that come out of the earth herself are going to be able to do anything. Thich Nhat Hanh writes about this when he says, the Lotus Sutra mentions the name of a special bodhisattva, Dharani Madara Bodhisattva, or earth holder, someone who preserves and protects the earth. In the chapter of the Lotus Sutra where the bodhisattvas come out of the earth itself, the Buddha affirms that he is from the world and people of the world can rise up as caretakers. He goes on to say, to be alive with this awareness is to practice being an earth holder. Breathing in, I am aware of all the trees and plants and what they offer me, that they offer me oxygen. Breathing out, I am aware that I offer the gift of carbon dioxide to the trees and plants as well. We enter are. In fact, it is not possible to be separate. The first breath helps me be aware that I am a part of the great Bodhisattva earth. In the next breath, I can ask myself, what will I do with this precious moment, this day, or this life to support my Mother Earth? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do to become earth holders, earth protectors? We who are ready to hold the earth tenderly in their arms and help take care of her. Albert LaChance writes, we urgently need bodhisattvas of the earth from every creed. Jew, Christian, Muslim, Wiccan, Buddhist, Hindu, atheist, humanist, whatever. We must become primates of earth, mammals of earth. The path of the bodhisattva of earth starts where you are. And we can start today by becoming aware and to the realization of our consumer self. And the greatest delusion of the consumer self is its sense of lack. And that I can buy my way out of that misperception. On the most basic level, this realization is expressed by Shodo Harada Roshi when he teaches, we must see it as it is, or else we mistakenly think that we are alive according to our own power, while it is all beings who support us to whom we should be thankful for. We will then not be pulled around by our noisy thoughts, but see how clearly all beings, all of nature are supporting us. And then our life becomes truly abundant. And this is the antidote to the consumer self. The consumer self core delusion is lack. But when we become deeply aware of the abundance in our life, in our everyday life, then it dispels the delusion of lack. So for those who want to start right now, I want you to stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Not that one. Not that one, but this one written by Gary Snyder. Okay? Put your right hand over your heart. And from the words of the poet Gary Snyder, I pledge allegiance to the soil of Turtle Island.
I pledge allegiance to the soil of Turtle Island.
And to the beings who thereon dwell.
And to the beings who thereon dwell.
One ecosystem in diversity.
One ecosystem in diversity.
Under the sun.
Under the sun.
With joyful interpenetration for all.
With joyful interpenetration for all.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Hey.
Can you post that on the page?
Yes, we will.
I love it.
Woo! We love Gary Snyder. Okay. So, now that you've taken the Pledge of Allegiance, What are some of the first steps that you're going to do this day forward as an earth holder or an eco-sattva? What are some of the simple things that you can do? Yes?
Well, I have decided that I have everything I need, and I keep saying that. I go to the store, I see things, and I say, you don't need a newer one. You don't need that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yes? No plastic. No more plastic. Yeah, banish plastic.
Yeah, carry bags,
Yeah.
your own cloth bags. Careful about the plastic bags because they make plastic, bags like that. And I have a solar array at my house, and I help my community to have electricity.
What else?
One thing that I've been trying to do is, I see a lot of garbage just laying around everywhere. People are so filthy, they throw stuff everywhere. And I frequent a Walmart a lot, and it's just amazing, the cigarette butts, the garbage just gets thrown on the ground. So as I'm out playing with my pet or doing whatever, I'll carry one of those little hand, picker-upper things, and I clean up all the garbage and the junk that people are just throwing all up on the ground.
Good.
Maybe
What else?
influence the workplace, like with meetings, to get regular
Yes.
silverware that we wash in the dishwasher we happen to have.
Yeah, that's great.
And instead of freezing and doing plastic.
Yeah, I noticed at my work, we have a blue little recycle thing. It's tiny for cans.
Yeah.
But how much cardboard and plastic
Yeah.
that goes through there?
Microwave meals.
Yeah, and then plus they provide us all with free coffee cups. You know how coffee cups we go through? Constant coffee cups. I mean,
Plastic
it's just
bottles for the
simple
meetings,
things. Yeah, simple things. What else?
Two things. So I've been trying to consciously say no to straws, or if the waitress hands me one, just not use it and hope that they just use it at the next table or something. And then also teaching my students, what can you do? I have this little picture book kind of thing of Earth Day activities that I do throughout the year, not just this weekend or this week, but just teaching our youth how to be responsible for their planet that they're inheriting. So.
Good. What else?
You can Google for your county what items are recycled before you actually do, because I was surprised to find out.
But here's one important thing too. So recycling is important, but it's that back end of the problem. The front end is how much we consume. Okay? Because the way the system's built, you can put a whole bunch of stuff in recycling. A lot of it does not get recycled. They just don't have the capacity. We actually got pretty good at putting stuff into the recycle stream, but they just don't have the capacity. We also need to influence our political leaders. If you look at what they do in Sweden, Sweden is importing garbage from other countries to create energy for their people. Okay? That's something to look at and to be aware of, and how can we influence it? And being in the valley, and all the issues that we have, the health issues we have in the valley, we need to speak up and say something as eco-sattvas. It means we bear witness. We bear witness to Mother Earth. We bear witness to the Bodhisattva. Okay? And this also means that we want to make this part of our practice. So let's say you struggle with meditation, and I struggle with meditation. Okay? So what are some other practices? So in Buddhism, there's sila. And sila is ethical action. And ethical action is actually the first step we take in our mindfulness practice, even before meditation. It's ethical action. If we want to deepen our meditative practice, we deepen our ethical action. And one of the ways we can do that is speaking up for the Great Earth Bodhisattva. Okay? Anything else?
I compost food waste. Even if I'm not in a garden, I still compost it.
Wonderful. Great. What else?
Community gardens, just regeneration,
Okay, good.
permaculture,
Good. What else?
donating stuff I don't use anymore rather than throwing it away.
Good.
Honoring the sacred nature of Utah.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So here's another thing we want to do, is we really want to take stock of our own practice. Because I guarantee you we do little things to feel better about ourselves. Right? We can do more. Make sure that our green self isn't placating the consumer self by doing the little things. Because if you think about our society, if you think about a thing called greenwashing, there are plenty of companies that do that, and it's easy for our consumer self, I'm not that bad. We always want to find more ways and more opportunities. Plant a tree. Do something. Give back to the earth.
The big one is clothing. We don't realize that the pollution and the degradation of life that is causing in other countries.
Yes, if anybody shops at H&M, this is an H&M shirt, don't. If you look at the supply chain and how fast they turn around designs, it is not sustainable. There's all this cloth that goes in, they try to recycle it, but again, the same problem happens. There's all this, and there's nothing can be done with it. There's too much of it. So the issue is not as much recycling as it is the initial consumer need, that immediate gratification of the consumer self, that sense of lack. If our ecological crisis is a spiritual crisis, then we need to work on ourselves in our mindful awareness practice, in our mind training, in our compassion, in our honoring of the earth. Okay? And I want to close today. I want to close with a poem from Walt Whitman. And this is from an excerpt from his poem, "The Wide Rolling Earth." The earth does not withhold. It is generous enough. The truths of the earth continually wait. They are not concealed either. They are calm, subtle, untransmissible by print. They are unviewed through all things, conveying themselves willingly, conveying a sentiment and an invitation. I utter and utter. The earth does not argue. She is not pathetic. She has no arrangements. Does not scream, haste, persuade, threaten, promise. Makes no discriminations. Has no conceivable failures. Closes nothing, refuses nothing, shuts none out. Of all the powers, objects, states, it notifies, shuts none out. So, from the words of the poet, the earth teaches us every day to come as we are. Let us protect her, honor her, and be healers for her, and for ourselves, and for all living beings. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's turn to our last page in our book.
On page 13, is it correct in my earth?
Yeah, but it's incorrect on some of the books.
Okay,
The new book will have a new one,
wonderful.
which is even better.
Thank you.
Practicing the way of oneness gives rise to benefits without end. May all beings live happily, free from anger, disappointment, and shame, free from delusions, isolation, and pain. May all share in the blessings of any good that we have done. May the sound of this bell ring throughout the universe, awakening all beings to joy and equanimity. May all beings be peaceful.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of Amida Buddha. May all beings be free. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. I want to thank everyone for coming out on this beautiful Sunday. Make sure you go enjoy the weather and enjoy the spring. By way of announcements, we have laughter yoga coming up on the last Wednesday. Yeah, which is this Wednesday. So if you haven't been to laughter yoga, come, enjoy. It's a great first date, great place to bring kids. And there's no stretching, except stretching your laughing muscles, your joy muscles. It's really great, very therapeutic. Highly recommended. 6:30. Come, and it's not very long too. It's about an hour.
At the most, like
Yeah.
45 minutes once we start.
Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah, so it's great. So I highly recommend it. Also, too, we do currently have a GoFundMe page up. We're looking for donations for our 5-year birthday as a Sangha anniversary, and it's a temple bell for Sangha. So if you go to the site, you can see it up there. It's just something we would do to commemorate our 5 years as a group.
Is it on Facebook?
Yes, it's on Facebook, on the Facebook page. So if you go in, just kind of scroll down, you'll see a beautiful big temple bell. And it's through GoFundMe. And let's see. I will be sending out a poll on when we want to do our meeting for our intro to Buddhist traditions, our Buddhist traditions course. We need to have our discussion groups coming up. Our reading period is coming to an end. So I'll put that up on the Facebook site. Make sure you select what day would be best for you so we can work around everybody's schedule and get as many people as we can. Reading the book is good, but there's nothing like having an open discussion with your classmates who've read the book with you. And you can give each other insight, and you can pull out something you didn't notice, you can pull out something they didn't notice, and it really enriches the experience. So anybody who's doing that, please fill out that. Is there, yes, Gretchen?
We're still taking submissions for the next issue of our newsletter, our electronic newsletter, Boundless. There's information about that on our Facebook page. I'll put some more information up again today. And if you want to see what past issues look like, and they're worth reading, they're on our website.
Thank you.
What's the deadline for that?
The end of the month. Unless you beg and plead for a couple more days.
And then another note on parking, for anyone who doesn't know. They've asked us if we can park by the library in the Evergreen Park right over here, and you enter off of, is that 3400? Yeah, just right down here, that's the building there on the other side. Then there's a beautiful pathway you can walk through right here. But then it frees up some parking in this area.
Okay, any announcements from you all? Anything going on? Yes?
This Saturday, I invite you to come and do battle with your consumer self at the New Consciousness Expo at Southtown Expo Center. Me and Lars will be displaying our work there.
Anything else? Okay. One last thing, I want to thank everybody for their donations. Because of your donations, we're able to have this beautiful space. We're able to offer the things that we do every Wednesday to the community. Hopefully we can even do more things going forward. The Sangha is more than just us. The Sangha is our communities, our families, our wider state, our country, the world, the plants and trees on our street. That's all our Sangha. So we have an opportunity to be conscious of that. And this is something that I noticed this week is sometimes at work we get into our work relationships and our work dynamics. And it's almost as if though we take on a role and an identity. And I realize that there's times at work I need to realize that work is my work Sangha. And I want to practice at work as my work Sangha. And that everyone I work with are my brother and sister as part of that work Sangha. And it's not just the dynamic I have at work. It's not the roles, us versus them, or this camp and that camp. we're all part of that same work sangha. So that's something to think about as you go forth this week. Okay? So, Namo Amida Butsu, as my teacher says, have a Buddhiful Sunday!